video. Got retweet. Well, if I had like a magic button, let's do one click. Hello. Oh, that's
not Father Loris.
The webcams. We're gonna need to rearrange.
Classic.
How
Classic.
are we gonna fix this?
Why
not? Hold on. Here, I can do it.
Yeah, we just need to change our names alphabetically so that they show up in the right place.
Wow.
The other solution is for me to be messing with pixels for.
Actually, I can't rename all of us because we're the same thing. So, like Father Loris, if you put like an L in front of your name, do L Father Loris, it should move you.
I'm gonna call myself Loris.
Okay, now Lambert.
Yeah, there we go. That works. No, that's not right. Yeah, now Lambert is in the wrong spot.
Okay,
that's why I said LF because Leanna's LE.
Okay. Hold on, we can manage this.
Okay. Now,
oh God.
Okay.
We're professionals, folks.
We are.
Yeah.
Wow.
I am not a professional video producer. I'm trying to play the role of one. If we ever have the capacity to hire somebody who actually knows what they're doing there.
How about this one? Oh no, I have to go LE. No, LE.
LZ.
Okay, what about G? There we are. I think that's it.
That's it.
I think it is.
On
It's the right order.
On my end, it looks wrong. All right, let me see if I can fix it.
Coming to Limber's hair.
What's wrong with my hair?
No, it's because you were the wrong person for a moment. So there. Wait, that was like 2 of me.
Hang on, I'm fixing it. I got it.
Okay.
Magic.
I'm just gonna have to do it. Assume manual. Okay.
I think what we need to have is something that the cameras go behind a PNG that's got like hollow or hollow areas.
That would be a good idea, actually. Yeah, that's a probably better way of doing it.
Yeah, this isn't the real podcast. You guys are here early because.
Okay, apparently chat thinks there should be 4 roses.
That would make sense, because we never found out what happened to enigmatic rows 1 through 3. So
yeah, you'd obviously need to have enigmatic rows 4 in the bottom right.
Yeah,
and then enigmatic rows 1 through 3 everywhere else.
Yeah. Okay. So if I just get the height right, and then I can fiddle the sides. It's not gonna be exactly centered, but hey, highly professional podcast as always. Also, my mouse is broken, which also. Okay, there we go. Hello and welcome to NoCB, Grand Strategy Podcast. The people watching on or listening later won't know why I'm laughing, but we had some technical difficulties. I'm Liana. I'm your host. We have our full awesome panel today, including Rose.
Hello. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. We're on the same page today.
I'm not feeling too well today.
Oh, so. Sorry to hear about that. We have Lambert.
Hello there.
And we have Father Loris finally.
What's up? Hello.
And not my Baldur's Gate 3 avatar. And yeah, we have I think a dev diary from everyone today. It's been a while.
Except for
don't say
hashtag saveimperator.
Right. Oh, maybe we
definitely
need to
hashtag saveimperator.
Yes, everyone besides Imperator hashtag saveimperator, of course. Humankind has finally finished revealing all of their contemporary civilizations. Is the word that I was looking for. With the Japanese, they have some kind of prop engine fighter plane. I don't think they were allowed to have a military during this era, so again, it's kind of a weird pick, but we talked extensively about...
I have the information on where this one comes from as well.
Okay.
This is the A6M Mitsubishi Zero airplane. Its first flight was on the 1st of April, 1939.
Oh, so it is just a Zero. Is it?
The what?
It is just a 0? Like
Yeah, it's just a 0.
Yeah.
And
think-
it was retired in 1945. So,
Yeah,
I mean...
I think modern era does include World War II. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I guess they do.
Contemporary.
Yeah, the Soviet Union, I guess, is. But I mean,
Yeah.
the T-34
So-
was also a World War II.
So contemporary era was apparently 1920 to 2020. So
Okay, that makes more sense then.
it fits barely,
Yeah.
but it fits.
Yeah, it is kind of odd that they have like a military
All
unit
over the
from the
place.
very beginning of the time period, and then their building is from like the very end of the time.
Modern era. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, my World War II fighter plane is going to be fighting to defend my robotics lab. It's like, come on.
I mean, it sounds like a video game.
It does. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen weirder things in Civilization.
That's why humankind is supposed to be better, because it's not civilization.
I've had games of Civ where I rushed civics in Civ 6 and like didn't pay attention to technology, so I had like the most advanced society in the entire world defended by like redcoats.
I mean, it's that basic meme where you've got Roman legionaries holding M16s jumping out the back of a armored personnel carrier.
Yeah,
And it's a meme. It's a joke. It's funny. It's
also kind of
and
rad,
this is like
though.
just ingrained in the game.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
least with
I mean,
having Roman legionaries jumping out of a fucking tank, it's like, oh, you just haven't upgraded your units. You've made a mistake, and now it's literally this is intentional.
I
that
mean,
you're gonna have.
I would
I think
I would assume they would probably tech out of this. Like, you're probably not still going to be using zeros in the end game, but
Well, because
Yeah,
also remember your emblematic units are not always in the same spot in the tech tree.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some people get their emblematic unit at the very beginning of that tech era, and some don't get it till the end. So that could be also a way of doing balance difference. The
If we-
zeros are there at the beginning.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yeah.
If we want to go on a tangent, it looks like hashtag Britney Speaks is trending in the United States. So I'd like to know what Britney Spears thinks about humankind.
I've got hashtag release the Schumacher cut, and being a Formula One fan, immediately I was like, oh, is he out of his coma? No, it's talking about the Schumacher Batman movie.
See, I have-
okay.
I think
have
Britain is
hashtag-
really engaged in the ongoing debate about laissez-faire economy in Victoria. I think that's
yeah,
the main
oh.
thing. Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, I have hashtag iCarly and then hashtag trans men are men.
Okay, well,
Are the two.
I'd say I approve of, but well, the creator of
iCarly.
the creator of iCarly maybe not so much.
Is that like an off-brand iPhone? I don't.
It's
I mean,
it was a Disney Channel show.
I think so.
little bit
Well,
after
this
my
one's-
time. Yeah.
No, apparently they're doing a new series of it on Paramount Plus streaming tomorrow,
Yeah,
which is why.
I think that was like I
then
was in
have it
college
trend
when that was
tomorrow,
on.
you fools.
High school or college, so I was like past the age
Yeah,
it was targeted at by a little bit, but
I remember my sister watching it,
exactly, yeah. This was something my younger siblings watched.
but apparently they got the same cast back, and it looks like, and they're like doing university or college or something.
I hope that the one guy, a specific guy, is not involved, and that's all I'll say about it.
Is that a feet guy? Or
Yes,
am
it
yeah,
is
okay,
the feet
okay.
guy.
Right.
And I gotta say one thing. This was about like a content creator before, or an influencer, whatever, before like it was really common.
That's true.
for a lot of people
That's
trying
true.
it.
Yeah, they did kind of predict how that would go a little bit, which is
Well, I can't. Oh yeah, I don't know.
well,
Straight over my head, just like
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
clue. I
It's-
have no idea.
it's-
what this
yeah,
is
it's-
about.
Well, I hear you do have a clue about Vicky 3, Lambert.
I
so-
try.
yeah.
It's an attempt I am making.
So yeah, Lambert, what is going on in the world of Victoria 3 this week?
Oh, so much controversy.
Oh, really?
I think we should.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The controversy is mainly around the link I've just sent you.
Okay.
which is it's a teaser for next week's Dev Diary that was released
Oh, yeah, I
today.
saw-
and
I
I know
saw
it's
this.
it's technically for the next one, but the controversy is all around this here, and it is because there aren't enough types of coal. Is this bituminous coal? Is it lignite?
Father Loris just
Controversy
absolutely
is real.
raging in the comments.
Oh my goodness, I missed this. I'm going to comment.
Well, especially because
See-
they have rye, wheat, rice, and maize all as separate grains, and only one type, and millet, and only
know.
one type of coal.
And they expect the same type of coal to be used in a steam powered ship as it is in a sulfur mine. What are they on?
Yeah,
What is this madness?
I thought this was supposed to be a simulation, Martin. Yeah.
I'm gonna message Martin straight away, straight after the show.
I do.
Bios.
but
I do
I
hope.
get it's a British thing.
Well, see, I'm a beer
It's a
fan,
Loris
so
thing.
so I'm hoping that they have barley, and also that they have 2-row and 6-row barley separate, because you make completely different kinds of beer with those two different types of barley.
How deep are the roots? Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clearly, the water table needs
I-
to be a part of how much arable land you have.
Can I
clearly.
pass the Reinheitsgebot and make it so that you can only make beer using 4 ingredients as was intended? Well, 3 until we discovered that yeast was a thing, and then it became 4. Like, oh yeah, it's 3 ingredients plus magic, and then later on we figured it was 3 ingredients plus microorganisms. So, yeah. So,
We got to get that protein in there somehow.
yeah. It's those
not?
monks, they're fasting. They need to be able to get some nutrition from their ale.
Well, it was the same with coal. I used to believe that it was such a thing as phlogenated materials and unphlogenated materials, and phlogination was where like fire came out of it. So
Wow. No.
I
I
know.
mean,
Look at phlogination. It's a wild theory that stayed around for ages.
You know what? I'm all about it right now.
I know it's great. It's a great name, isn't it?
It is.
It is a great
It's like
name.
it's like. Do you remember that Friends episode? It's like the plane doesn't have a phalange.
Yeah.
Phloginate. We need to
That's right.
phloginate the phalange.
Oh.
Y'all are terrifying. Okay.
Yeah. So this Dev Diary mostly focuses on buildings. What is kind of the general upshot of what we learned this week?
So everything is being kind of put onto the state level.
Mhm.
And you're going to basically have a few different types of buildings. There's buildings that you have no control over and that you would want to have fewer of as the game progresses. These are your what are called the subsistence farms, which is basically what peasants will work on if there's no factories for them to work in. Although they're not really calling them factories, which I think is a bit sad. There's also urban centers, which will grow automatically, or they'll be created automatically every time you have a certain amount of urbanization in the state. I think it might visually pop up a new city on the map. There's no confirmation of that, but it kind of sounds like that
Yeah.
might be
That
the
was
case.
the
That'd be
impression
I
I
hope
got.
that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was
Um,
speculating about what's it gonna do for like if you industrialize an area that was like not heavily industrialized historically. Like, are they just gonna pull
Like
names
South Wales. Yeah.
from like the 1980s or something? Like, or will we see like Broomfield, Colorado, become a major industrial center in the 1800s or something? Like, that would be kind of funny.
It could
Well,
be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened in the Victorian era. I mean, like basically every single town in the north of England and south of Wales, and basically didn't exist and were just created in the Victorian era around factories and mines, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have.
I imagine it's the same in America. I would have thought.
It is, yeah. I'm just thinking because there were a lot of areas of America that weren't industrialized, and if you do industrialize those areas early, where are they going to pull the names of the cities from? Is what I'm curious about.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are enough to go around.
yeah.
Like sometimes you
I'm
may end
sure,
up with a
yeah,
city that wasn't technically a city in real life, but I mean, little villages and stuff growing up to become cities. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't mind. And even like stupid names is fine because in the end, Gary, Indiana is a thing, and that's stupid. But it's a stupid meme name.
I mean,
isn't it?
how many Londons are there in the U.S.?
It's a lot of Londons.
Hang on, chat. You might get hit for just a second because I need to mute the Victoria 2 music. I wanted to pull this up really quick so that I could show off some things a little bit later, but hopefully it's not.
Oh yeah, the Victoria 2 loading screen music is obnoxiously loud.
Okay, I think I was able to
amazing,
skip it.
Yes, it is very good.
On that topic,
sorry,
I'm unironically going to be a little bit disappointed.
It's not going to let me alt tab out because this game is a million
my
years
eardrums
old.
don't burst.
Sorry, chat. Just turn the podcast down for a second. It won't let me alt tab out because this game is a million years old. I should have set this up before the show. I can't even go into OBS and fix it.
The show started.
I just randomly got the thought, I want to show off something in Victoria 2 that I'm hoping that they will address. I didn't think about
We're
how
just doing intermission. It's time for everyone to go to the bathroom, go get some more popcorn, and all that stuff.
It literally won't let me do anything on my computer until it finishes loading. That's how old this game is.
Yeah, because you need to figure out in the settings there's one line that needs changing, and then you can do, your normal borderless window. Which is, when you turn on borderless window, look in the settings, it says borderless window equals no, which is fun.
That is very interesting, actually. Okay. Victoria 2, mute. There we go. Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Should have thought about that ahead of time. It also looks like we're going to need paper for our government administrations.
Yeah. This would be very interesting.
I mean, paper is a resource in Victoria 2 as well. So
right. It wasn't like, did you need paper for bureaucrats? Did bureaucrats consume paper though? I didn't think they did.
I think it's just a resource that your pups like using.
Yeah,
like they're one of their
good.
Like the bureaucrats would want paper, but it's not like they need paper to give you something else. It's just one of their needs.
They can scratch it into a wall if they really need to, but they'd prefer to write it on paper.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most interesting things about this dev diary is like how interconnected a lot of these buildings are. Like, especially if you think of the ones that are not interconnected, for example, like railways, for example. Railways require coal and workers, and we're their own separate industry now. And, like you said, the town centres are also its own industry. Really cool, interesting stuff. I hope docks are the same.
Yeah, I think docks also require coal.
That's good. Yeah, sweet.
Well,
I think this is brilliant because, during the time of, if you look at labor history, which is one of the more interesting aspects of this era, the most militant trade unions tended to be dock workers and railway workers, right?
That's even
when
true.
They went
even
on strike,
true today.
Things went. Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Yeah.
In the US today, like the Teamsters and the United Dock Workers are some of the most active labor organizations.
Yeah. The RMT in the UK is the best trade union. If you judge trade unions by results, definitely the best for sure.
Yeah. So I loaded up Victoria 2 for the first time in a while this past week, and I forgot how bad their map of the US is. I have some issues that I'm hoping that they will address. So
I also think they're coming up on the issue of not being able to actually get back into the game.
I can get back into it. It's just OBS isn't sure.
So you assaulted everyone's ears for no reason.
Basically, yeah. Basically, I'm making the show worse for no gain whatsoever. Yeah.
Sorry, people tune in for this level of professionalism.
Oh yeah.
If we were like really sleek,
SoundCloud people won't even notice, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be authentic if we were really professional.
Okay, I'm going to see if it'll let me do it. So, let me see. Properties.
Casey guy says it makes us more relatable. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna post a screenshot.
Shout out to all the other fuck ups in the world.
Exactly. Let's go back to the webcams for a sec. While I figure this out. I think I can just pull up a screenshot on Imager. That's gonna be the easiest way to do it. Yeah. So I don't think anybody from the Victoria 3 team had maybe ever been to the United States.
You mean Victoria 2?
Or Victoria 2, yeah. At the time that this game came out, is sort of the impression I'm getting. Yeah, here we go. So, I'll upload this real quick. So to like basically where I live, in the part of Colorado I live, we have more 14ers, which is like mountains that are over 14,000 feet, than any other state. We also have like the highest, I think the first, second, third, and maybe fourth highest mountains in the Rockies, unless you go all the way up to Alaska, I think is how far you have to go to find a taller mountain. This is how they model Colorado and Victoria too. This is plains, this is plains, this is plains, and this is hills down here. Just some rolling hills. This whole middle part would just be like completely mountainous. Like absolutely like just the most rugged mountainous terrain you've ever seen. The city of Grand Junction, I thought it wasn't actually in the province called Grand Junction. It barely is. It's like on the river, like on the north side of the river right down here. I don't know why this is called Alamosa. There might be a town called Alamosa down there. I've never heard of it or been there. I think they maybe just picked a random town off of a map. But yeah, the idea that like everything from Denver to Pueblo is just like flat, and then you get like rolling hills in the southwest of the state, to me is pretty hilarious. Yeah, this should basically be everything from like this line over should be basically all mountains. Yeah, so I'm hoping that they'll do a little bit of a better job of modeling the terrain of the United States.
Yeah, in general. Yeah.
From what we've seen of Anatolia so far, with how the height map looks like really fucking good, I imagine it's probably going to be a bit better.
I would hope so, yeah. Yeah, so...
Well, luckily Wales is very easy, because it's just all hill.
Yeah.
Full of coal.
Can't
forget all the coal down there.
Just big piles of hill.
Oh, no.
Well, actually, only coal in the south.
That is the good thing, because Wales is known for two main things, of course. It's got its coal, and it's got its sheep. And
that's right.
How would you, in Victoria 2, represent this? Well, you'd have certain provinces have sheep as RGOs, and you'd have other provinces having coal as RGOs. But in Victoria 3, you can have both, because they're not broken up like that. You don't have... you can have multiple different RGOs, which is resource gathering operations, I believe.
Yep.
It's basically the goods in the province. You can have multiple ones in a single state, which is fantastic. And it is also quite limited in a realistic way. So, for example, if you have a small amount of coal, you won't be able to build a huge coal mine.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you have an absolute gargantuan amount, you'll be able to build a much bigger coal mine. You can see that with the resource there. The 1 out of 5 for the iron means there is, the potential for 5 buildings worth of iron to be there. For the logging camp, apparently there's a lot of forests in, I think this is probably Gotaland still. So you can have 12 there. And then there's a big ass coastline. So you've got 2 out of 18 on the fishing resource. So having multiple RGOs in a single area is, I think, one of the ways that they have improved Vicky 3 the most when it comes to resources. I really like that.
No, I fully agree.
And I'm curious if your technology and stuff will be able to increase this, or if they might have something like Hearts of Iron does with like the prospecting decisions. Because I know there were definitely resource deposits that were not available in 1836 that became accessible by the end of this time period in the U.S.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, certainly not. Well, with coal to a lesser extent, but I'm primarily oil, right? Like thinking of major oil deposits of the world, like Baku oil fields was massive because it was very easily accessible oil. But then towards the end of the Victorian period, the Persian oil began to spring up. And Arabian oil never really entered the picture much. It's mostly offshore stuff. There's a few things, but really that's Cold War era stuff. So be interesting to see if technology affects it. You'd see a sort of shift away from Baku to the Persian Gulf. And of course, America getting shit tons of oil early on. Where was it first discovered?
Texas is where most of our oil production has always come from. I'm not sure if that's where we originally found it.
No, it was originally found like miles away from Texas, and then later on, Texas was developed, I believe.
Yeah, I know Texas and Oklahoma have a lot. I'm not sure where they originally.
Wasn't like the Beverly Hillbillies having them find it?
Yeah.
The Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, like the Appalachians have a lot of coal. I don't know if they have oil up there or not. Yeah, northern Michigan also, where my mom's family is from, has a lot of actually iron mining. But that didn't come along till later on when we had better blasting techniques, so that's why I'm curious, like, are you just going to be able to mine that iron at the start of the game, or are you going to have to wait till you have dynamite, or...
Yep.
So our subcultural chimera in chat says Drakewell, Pennsylvania was the first oil well in the U.S.
Pennsylvania.
Okay. That's right.
That makes sense.
Whereabouts?
Another sub, Dogberry,
in US?
Is saying that Spindletop in Texas wasn't until 1901. But most of Texas mineral wealth wasn't discovered until the Great Depression.
That's
Pennsylvania's in the northeast, I believe.
Well, that's interesting because I have a map of when oil pops up in various places in Victoria 2. And
to let you know, Father Loris, I could drive for about 2 hours and be in Pennsylvania, maybe less.
Yeah. I only know Pennsylvania is there because it was one of the places that was colonized quite quickly, right? Pennsylvania. I mean,
it was toward the beginning, yeah.
Yeah. It's like New England and Pennsylvania and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Like I think Pennsylvania. I think like witch trials and stuff for some reason. Like it's like
that's Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Yeah. It's that area though. You know what I mean? It's like it's old timey. Pilgrim hats. That sort of thing.
Those areas are farther away from each other than you are from London.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But it's probably faster to get there because of infrastructure in the United Kingdom.
So we got this map that shows when oil pops up in Victoria 2.
It quite nicely shows what Father Loris was saying.
Doesn't have Pennsylvania at all, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was the first place it was discovered, but it wasn't a major producer, right? But
I have no idea.
I believe.
I don't know.
I believe.
Like I said, it's quite nicely showing what Father Loris was saying earlier, that Bahrain gets it in the 70s, and then the rest of the Arabian Peninsula doesn't get anything until like the 1910s.
Yeah.
Here's the
Could you see something similar happening in Vicky 3?
The Drakewell looks like it's very close to the northwestern corner of Pennsylvania.
I mean, like Persian Gulf oil didn't really kick off to the extent that it is now until like offshore drilling, like which is
that's the thing. If somebody wants to make a timeline extension mod for Vicky 3, they're gonna have to figure out how
it's gonna
offshore
happen.
oil rigs. So Norway can get ridiculously rich.
That's right.
Yeah. It's hard to say like how all this is going to actually work in practice. I don't really have any major problems with it so far.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. I love the complexity of it. I love how interweaved everything. I love that railways are its own industry, which is massive.
Yeah.
It means they can go on strike. It means, you need workers, they need resources. It's no longer just like a button that you press that gives a percentage boost.
We also have
It's
great.
these production methods for the urban center, which one of them just looks like a shop, and then this is like electric light or gas lighting maybe, and then trolley cars, which I don't know
tram.
what those would do.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm looking forward to when this production method stuff will come out.
There's one thing with the buildings I'm a little unsure on, and that is because all of the buildings they're state level, they're not on an individual province level. What happens when your coastline is sieged, but not the rest of the state? Is the game going to recognize that all of your fishing resource jobs should be shutting down, but not, say, the iron mine in the hills further inland?
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a case that the actual resource deposits exist in a province, but you just can't interact with provinces directly. We'll see, I guess, how that works, because we know you can split off provinces to form a new state in a war, so they'd have to figure out how to divide up the resources. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. See.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
Seems
really
very
want to see as
interesting.
well is looking at every single state on the map and have a heat map, say, for iron, and like the brighter the color would be, the larger number for how many iron mine levels you can build.
Yeah.
That kind of thing I'd really like to see as well, because that'd be a nice way of showing. Like, if you could have that as a map mode in game, that would be amazing. That'd be so useful.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. It'd be really cool. And also, I mean, I don't envy the person who has to research that, because, man, I don't know if I don't know if any of you have just casually researched mineral deposits and stuff around the world, which I guess you haven't, but I have, because I'm cool like that. It's very hard to find.
I would expect nothing less.
But it's actually quite hard to find, like, just a raw map of where it produces different types of iron, or where it produces cobalt and stuff like that. It's very difficult.
All right.
So research must be rough, but fair play if they manage to pull that off. It'd be really cool.
Okay, everybody stand back. Ready for this? All right. Cows, wheat, agriculture. Rose, why don't you tell us about culture and rework in Crusader Kings 3? Boom! Boom!
Wow,
Boom!
that was
Best
pushing
segue
it.
ever. Best segue ever.
That wow.
I'm stunned.
Best segue ever.
Yeah, I would like to disagree with that.
Look, it's the one
you're
that has
welcome
stunned
to.
the most, which I guess is the worst segue ever. Segues are supposed to be real freaking smooth and like barely noticeable. This
that
one was
smooth
so
as hell.
on the nose and harsh that it's like
Yeah.
it's jarring. It's terrible.
Would you say
I
that it
love
was
it.
It's very
that
good.
she left the door ajar?
I
You
mean,
know. Yeah, so what's going on with culture?
So basically, the short of it is they are making cultures customizable like religions currently are in CK3. The longer part is they've separated cultures into two sections inside of the culture. You have your cultural pillars, there's 5 of them, and then you have your traditions. The pillars are very important. They always have to have a setting for each of those 5 pillars. You can't just leave one empty. While the traditions can range, they've said most cultures will have 3 or 4 to begin with, and then as you move through the eras, you can add more traditions to your culture as your culture expands and grows and develops. It will cost prestige to change your culture. To go with, I guess, piety changes your religion.
Which makes sense, because I don't think you have enough to spend
with prestige.
Especially as you get like further along, it feels like it just stacks up.
So the 5 pillars. We have the first one, which is your ethos, and basically how your culture acts. They've given us 7 of them: bellicose, communal, courtly, egalitarian, inventive, spiritual, stoic. And it gives a wide bonus across the game. They give us the example of bellicose. You get more men at arms are cheaper, maintenance is cheaper, everyone gets some prowess. You get larger levy size, there's more mercenaries. Basically, you're meant to go to war.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like this one is the most powerful because of a men at arms maintenance thing.
This might also be the one part of the system that I don't like. Just because, based on my study of history and my understanding of history, I feel like generally when you make a generalization like, oh, this culture was very warlike, it's usually not really true.
I think that there's going to be for people who don't like how their culture is implemented, there's going to be a bit of a pushback from it.
Now, if this was something that the player chose later, that's a little bit, I don't know. That might make a little more sense.
It's the cultures at the start of the game. How are they going to be?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they can't just be blank, so...
I mean, I think it depends. Like,
yeah.
Because modern day cultures are so removed from the medieval time. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, the Anglo-Saxons weren't like that. It's like,
I don't know if you've met
yes,
Paradox.
they will.
I don't know if you've met Paradox
yes,
players.
They will. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
An Italian living today will identify with an Italian culture in CK. It's just the way it is. I would say, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm using Italian because I know absolutely no Italian people, and therefore I'm not specifically singling out anyone, and they can't be offended at that.
That's right. Well, I'm Welsh Italian, so I can be half offended by it. So.
I mean, Welsh culture is a thing in the game.
I know, but it's like modern Welsh culture, so especially in the south, is so removed from medieval times. Maybe in North Wales, it's kind of.
It is, but you can imagine people will still get annoyed if their culture or the culture that they like is perceived.
But all those people live in
they imagine
North Wales, and therefore their opinions don't really matter to me.
That's
the other problem.
Wow.
From North Wales.
Tell us what you think.
So sorry.
Here's how I might rework this, and again, like, I don't expect them to like pivot like design because of something I said on a podcast, but here would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
I would say it would make more sense and would be like less iffy from a like historical perspective if maybe this ethos, instead of being something that is like stapled onto the culture, maybe have it be tied to who the current culture head is. Like, if they have a martial education, then they would lead that culture down a more bellicose path for their lifetime, because then you're not saying, oh, you know, the Persians were very warlike. You're saying, well, the most influential Persian leader at this time was this guy, and he was very warlike, and so during this era, the Persians were very warlike.
Well, I've never liked the cultural heads mechanic in the first place. I was really hoping that we would get rid of that, to be honest, but I think that's fair to say for gameplay reasons. But, you know, I figure, like, I don't see why, say, if the King of England should be head of the English culture if it was, like, some amazing poet or something that was, like, in the court that has, like, 800 learning and he's really...
But who is paying that poet? Who's giving him room and board and promoting his work?
Yeah, but the king's not the head of the culture, right? I mean, the head of the culture.
I see it as abstracted. Same with the religion.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, how would you determine who the culture head is if it's not based on political power? Like, would you do it based on stats or prestige or?
I would, like, you know, in a dream world, I would have liked in this cultural system, like, cultural points that your character accumulates, and then the person with the most cultural points gets to be head of the culture.
Interesting.
That's the way I would have done it. But,
that'd be kind of an interesting spin on it, yeah.
Because I would like to see
cultural influence and political power aren't always tied together. That's true.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, for, you know, say if you're a powerful king in Italy, you'll be the cultural head of the Italian culture, which doesn't make any sense when there exists for Catholic Church, you know. And
That's
like,
true.
so
The Pope should probably be the head of Italian culture in most.
Yeah,
if the Pope is
In
Italian.
this period, the Pope
Yeah.
is the head of the culture of the Italians, the Polish, the Irish,
Yeah, that's
the
true.
French, the Spanish, the Portuguese,
Yeah.
the everyone in the Catholic sphere.
World.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we're just gonna do armchair game design, maybe it could be tied to your court. Like whoever has the greatest court within their culture would be the culture.
Yeah.
Well, except, I mean, we're getting the expansion about courts, but
Right.
this
This is a free
this is
feature.
this is the free patch, so not everyone's going to be playing with that.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of it being tied to whoever your culture head is, and let's just
Yeah.
leave the culture head on the door.
Yeah.
I think
I wish it
they
wasn't,
maybe
though.
could have done something similar to how Vicky's actually doing it, whereas every culture will have a heritage and a language, and they would map the distance of the languages to each other, and that would so say Dutch to German would have a very small distance in language, whereas an Italian trying to speak with I don't know, one of their Arabic speaking neighbors would have a large distance between their languages, and so would
Oh.
have worse relations.
That'd be great. And you could have like basically, the Dutch could be, or a lot of different cultures and languages would be sort of halfway house, right? If you
Yeah.
imagine like, German,
Mhm.
Dutch. I remember Dutch is closer to English than it is to, German, but German is to English, basically.
Yeah,
I would
From
love
what I
to.
understand.
So-
I'm not very good
North
at
German,
languages, I
Saxon,
should say.
Bavarian.
I mean,
and-
that is kind of how acceptance is going to work, which we get to later in the
Right.
dev diary.
Right.
I mean, they're already sort of implementing that.
Yeah, that is kind of in to a
Probably should have
degree.
read the bloody dev diary.
Yeah, maybe
Yes,
maybe you
yes,
should have.
Lambert.
Maybe you should have. Yeah, but let's go
so we
over
also have-
traditions real quick first, though. Yeah.
But yeah, so we also have hair. Well, we didn't even finish the pillars. We got
we
stuck
didn't.
on the first
You're
pillar,
right.
and no one moved on to the other ones.
It's a big dev diary. It's a chonker.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we also have heritage, which is where did your culture originally come from? And which when we get to acceptance later, cultures that have the same cultural heritage,
Mm-hmm.
they find it much easier to accept each other.
Which is interesting because both CK3 and Victoria are made by PDS Red, and this is basically exactly how the culture system in Victoria 3 was described to me when I did my interview. Is that there's going to be a heritage component and a language component. I think this is really cool.
I've just read acceptance. I don't think it's the same.
Because this could mean that, like, okay, I take my Vikings and I do a Varangian adventure to India, and maybe we start speaking Rajasthani so that we can kind of integrate more with the locals, but we still have this, like, northern Germanic heritage, which would be a really interesting way to create, like, a hybrid culture. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
We also have language, as you were mentioning.
Mhm.
You change your language over time. Some languages are spoken by a lot of cultures. Few languages are spoken only by one culture, like Basque was the example
Mhm.
they gave. And then when characters can learn other languages during their lifetime, which will give them a opinion modifier with anyone else that speaks that language.
That'll make learning a very valuable stat in larger multicultural realms,
Well-
I think. Yeah.
Well, think of William
Yeah.
the Conqueror landing in
William
England
the
and
Bastard.
taking it over. I said I'm going after he took England.
I don't think
After he takes England, he's sitting on the throne. He only speaks Norman French, but he still has Anglo-Saxon, English-speaking vassals. If he learns English, then all of his
Which I
vassals that are
I don't
will
think
like
he
it
ever
better.
did.
no,
I
but
don't think the
It's all
Plantagenets ever
history.
bothered to learn English.
this
Well, it
is
wasn't-
alternate
it wasn't-
history.
Right,
Well, English
right.
wasn't a thing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, like it was.
Well, Anglisk.
Well, it was
was
in the
English.
court. In the court, it was French for until. Oh, it was a long time. Like, who was the
Yeah,
first
The
king?
tutors, I think.
It was after Richard the Lionheart.
Yeah.
He spoke French.
Yeah, it was a very long time after the Norman invasions before you actually had a king of England who spoke
I mean, you have to
English,
put French in
We also
quotation
have-
marks, considering every different region of France had a different
True.
dialect of French, right up
They spoke
until
Norman
Victoria
French.
3
Right.
times.
But they did say it's gonna be.
Norman was not speaking.
Hey, y'all,
French.
we have Meneth in chat saying that knowing the language halves the different culture opinion penalty.
Okay. Well, that's yeah. I mean, like that Cleopatra is another historical example of that, where she actually bothered to learn Egyptian, and the people loved her because none of the other Ptolemies had bothered to learn Egyptian. So yeah.
We also have noble martial custom as another pillar, which decides who you can make knights and commanders. So it's not tied to, oh, I allow both men and women to be rulers, so now I've got male and female knights.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Yeah, there were definitely. I think they brought up India as an example of a place where women could inherit land, but they couldn't actually fight in armies.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
And then the last one
loads of advantage like that. Yeah.
is aesthetics, which is what the culture looks like in terms of clothes, coat of arms styles, armor, all that. And apparently, for modders, they will be able to set it individually per culture.
Yeah,
you can mix and match different aesthetics.
I want a mod that lets me do this in the UI when I create a new culture. Like
choose
individually. Like
I'm sure someone will make one if it's at all possible.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this is a feature I'm most excited for because it'll make Turkish runs a lot more bearable. I think I mentioned it last time. Moving into Persia as a Turk, and then you adopt Persian dress style, which carried on up until the Ottomans, right? Like, but as it currently stands, you start with, it's not called Turkish, it's called something I can't pronounce, beginning with an O. And
Uyghur,
you keep,
isn't it? Isn't that one?
No, it's not Uyghur. Uyghurs.
It might have been the Uyghurs were the Western Turks.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But you basically dress like a steppe nomad for the entire time that you're part of this culture. So it'd be cool to make a sort of Turkish culture after you conquer Persia and then conquer the Byzantines.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good stuff.
This is going to be really, really great for RP stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
We also have our traditions now, which allow us to add more flavor to your culture. And not every tradition is available everywhere. Apparently, we're going to have some regional traditions as well as traditions that are available depending on your heritage.
Yep.
Most of them can be used everywhere, but there will be a few.
I remember. Who was it? It was one of the devs I spoke to said this is going to be a reason why you might want to hybridize your culture if you're using the expansion features as opposed to just diverging, because if you diverge, you're more limited in which traditions you can pick, whereas if you hybridize, you can pick from any of the traditions of either of the cultures that you're hybridizing. So it'll give you more options.
And one thing, it looks like the special succession types that we had access to before, like the Anglo-Saxon one and such, they will be tied to a tradition now.
Right. I'm curious about seafarers, because it looks like this just replaces what longboats used to do. So I'm wondering, is longboats still going to be a thing, or is it just going to make you better at... Like, is it going to further decrease the embarkation cost?
I think longboats are going to be separate, because I think if I remember rightly, I don't have a dev diary open at the moment, but it's not a longboat that's on the icon. That's right, isn't it? It looked more like a galley to me.
Right. But I'm assuming that the Norse will start with this, so I'm curious if the tech for longships, which I'm assuming is not going anywhere, I'm wondering what it's going to do now.
It'll make you better at fighting naval, but no,
that's the thing. I don't think this is for the Norse, right? I think Norse get their longships, but I think the seafarers would be for, I don't know, maybe some.
This is for Oria in the image. Oria culture.
I disagree. I think that this is going to be, the Norse will start with this, and then longboats are going to do something different now. But we'll see what happens.
Meneth says in chat that if he remembers correctly, they are turning some innovations into traditions, but he doesn't remember if longboats are one of those still.
Because I would say that there is a difference between the seafaring culture of the Norse and then the specific technology of shipbuilding that became prevalent in the early Middle Ages. I think those two things are distinct, and they both should be part of the Norse world. But that's how I would do it anyway. Because the technology was huge. The Viking Age could not have happened without improvements in shipbuilding technology. That was not just a cultural thing, but they definitely were seafarers culturally even before that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking, though, the seafarers would be for someone else. And then the longboats, just from a gameplay point of view, right? Like, I think
could
seafarers,
see that. Yeah, we'll see.
I bet it's for Mediterranean. Going just from the icon, it looks like a Mediterranean ship to me. Or it did, as far as I remember. I should probably get the dev diary up so I can look at my face. Yeah. But no, I gotta trust my memory.
Well, our last piece of this chunky diary is cultural acceptance. So there's a baseline, which is what your culture settles at. Sort of think of what's that term? What is it in Imperator there, Lambert? The baseline.
I don't know if
what's that?
They have a name for it.
No,
it's like it's where it will rest at
stability.
If you consider all the modifiers.
There you go. Your stability.
Okay,
how your stability works.
Then, there you go.
How that's set up in Imperator. It looks like that's how it'll sort of be for your cultures here. You'll have a baseline, how you interact with another one, and then there could be modifiers that move it either way. If acceptance is above the baseline, it'll slowly decay towards the targeted value. But if it goes below the baseline, it won't increase. You have to work to get it up again.
Right, and like having multiple...
Will it have an equilibrium is the question.
I don't know if they said anything about that. Typically. But yeah, having cultures intermingle within the same realm will increase this. So like if you have Occitan vassals in France and they're generally happy, French and Occitan will grow closer together. I'm assuming if you fight a lot of wars with people of a different culture, then that might hurt your relations with them. Yeah. We also have Bavarian aesthetics, which are their own thing, apparently. So I'm curious how Bavarian aesthetics is going to differ from the rest of Germany. A little early for, like, dirndls. But
okay. So...
Yeah, like it says there, the higher it gets, the more it reverts towards the baseline. So yeah, there's going to be an equilibrium, which is nice.
Yeah.
So it works like Prestige in EU4, kind of. If maths-wise,
It's really how like most things should work.
Yeah.
Decaying
stability in Imperator was a good
shout. This is a very large dev diary. We didn't really get to touch on everything. In fact, there's new men at arms for certain cultural traditions.
Yeah.
But do you know what's pretty impressive with cultures?
When they like to stuff.
Well, they like to build monuments to, show off their culture and share it with the world and show how great it is, which is, something you'll be able to do in EU4, get new monuments.
Yeah, we actually missed this dev diary last week. But they're adding some new monuments and changing some monuments in EU4 1.30, 1.5. By the way, I've played 2 campaigns of 1.30, 1.4 so far, and I would say that there are really no major bugs left. So if you have been waiting to jump back in, now is probably a good time. I didn't really run into anything that was like super irritating. But yeah, some of these were chosen by the community, some by the dev teams. El Escorial in Spain. We got the Holy City of Jerusalem. The Cerro Rico del Potosí, which is a giant silver mine in South America.
basically a mountain made out of silver.
Yeah.
It's actually geologically incredible.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the Spanish got their hands on it, and
Yeah. So you know what happens.
just the Spaniards did their thing, and
I'm curious
yeah.
though, because like local goods produced, if you have a mine, which I'm assuming this is going to be modeled as a gold mine, because EU4 does not treat silver as a separate grade good. Local goods produced also increases the chances that you deplete the mine, typically. So I'm wondering if this modifier will be immune to that downside.
Yeah, it would be, right? Because all the depletion does is decrease the development, so there'll be like a high baseline, and you can still dev on top of it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Basically, you're going to be pissing out gold at a rate of knots if you have this thing. It's going to be very powerful.
We got the Kaaba in Mecca.
And also getting it stolen by plucky other Europeans in the Caribbean.
Yeah, it should definitely increase like the attractiveness of this province as a target for other colonial empires.
Should do,
yeah. The Kaaba in Mecca, which interestingly gives you religious unity and not missionaries.
Yeah.
So I guess if you have, other brands of Islam in your empire, holding the Kaaba will make it less likely that they'll want to rise up. Brands is probably
also
not
means
the right
that
word.
I mean, the way that religious unity works is if you have Christians in your empire, but you hold the Kaaba, it doesn't matter until it gets more than 15% Christians.
Yeah, maybe it should have been like tolerance of heretics instead of religious unity. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm glad they've added it. It feels like it was
state
weird
religion
that it was
happiness. Is that a thing in EU4? I can't remember. I haven't played in ages.
Yeah, no.
State religion happiness plus 10%. There
it's
you go.
tolerance. It's called tolerance of the true faith. Yeah.
There you go. That one. Yeah. Put that up by 10, 15% or whatever, and there you go. That's a more flavorful modifier.
Yeah. Well, generally Islam already gets like loads of those buffs anyway.
They do. Yeah.
Islam gets like tolerance of a true faith like up the wazoo. So you just like as long as you've got that, you're never gonna have a rebellion.
Yeah, I just don't think religious unity or conversion speed is really fitting.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the big problems with these monuments from a design point of view. Is it's always very hard to tweak the modifiers to be balanced or make sense. I like their addition. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, this should definitely be in here. Like holding Mecca should be a big deal if you're playing as a Muslim nation. Like that's a very big deal.
Opinion of other Muslim states?
Yeah, that could be.
Every other Muslim state in the world gets plus 25 opinion.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It could make the difference if you're, quite conquesty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a modifier at the moment, is it? But
I don't know if it is.
I mean, fucking code one. Make it one.
We got the next two I really like because I feel like these are areas of the world that get overlooked a lot. We have the Great Mosque of Jenne, which was in the Mali Empire.
Yep, Timbuktu.
And then the Imperial City of...
Oh, no. It's not Timbuktu, is it?
That's
the library, isn't it?
It's in Jenne, yeah, because it is the Great Mosque of Jenne.
Yeah, sorry. I think the library of Timbuktu is the one I'm thinking of.
And then I don't know how to pronounce this because I don't know Vietnamese, but the Great City of Hue is how I guess you would say it in Chinese. For a unified Dai Viet, which is a very fun region to play in. And minus 20 state maintenance is crazy. Like that's so much money.
Yeah.
Going back into your treasury. They also finally replaced the Pena Palace because it didn't exist in this time period and gave Lisbon something that actually did exist in this time period, which is cool. So yeah.
A lot of no-brainers there, which I feel like when Mecca wasn't in it, especially, say this is weird that it's not in it.
Yeah, I mean you got the bonus for holding it as like a holy site, I think, but yeah, it seemed like it needed something extra.
Yeah, I mean you already got a mission. You already get a missionary for having Mecca.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I guess that's why they didn't add another one.
Jerusalem not having a wonder was a bit weird. So
yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know, it's a little bit important.
Funnily enough, Jerusalem was also one of the provinces you got an extra missionary from. I think it was Rome, Jerusalem, and Mecca are the three ones that give you one extra missionary if you own them. And the Jerusalem holy site wonder doodad thing here also gives an extra one. So is it now going to give two,
I don't know.
or has that been removed?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's a trigger modifier, so
Yeah.
find out, I guess.
I would say that we finally have a wonder in EU4 that makes sense to religion lock as well. With the Kaaba or Kaaba, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's the first one that I've seen that makes sense to religion lock.
I still think regardless, you should get some prestige. Like, you should get a little bit of prestige for holding any wonder, regardless of what religion you are. But yeah,
you don't get any other modifiers, just prestige.
Yeah, just flat prestige. Yeah.
You should get a tolerance of Islam negative to represent that all the Muslims probably not happy that Christians conquered Mecca.
I'd say it should be a decision. Allow Muslims to come and do their, is it called the Hajj?
It's a Hajj.
And then you'll get bonuses. Or if you could say, nah, fuck you all, then you get massive negatives.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Hey, it could be, that's a bit too organic gameplay for EU4, to be honest.
Another thing that makes a lot of sense to me is military doctrines not being part of the tech tree anymore. In Hearts of Iron 4. Loris, what is going on? What is going on in the Barbarossa?
What's going on in general, or just Hearts of Iron? I don't know what's going on in the world.
Just in the world. Yeah.
Gosh, so confusing right now.
If you want to focus your answer on Hearts of Iron, you could do that.
Oh, that's a lot easier. They're basically reworking officers and generals in Hearts of Iron. Pretty interesting stuff. So basically, you're going to have your own armchair generals rather than like your field marshals and your other generals. From what I understand, you can basically turn one of your generals into a officer, I believe it's called, right?
Yeah, you can basically you can slot them into your government as if they were an advisor, but I think they can still keep fighting also.
What I gathered is you couldn't keep fighting, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't know either, actually. This is Arheo's first Hearts of Iron dev diary, so if Arheo's in the chat, let us know how that works.
Yeah.
I don't believe he is.
Okay. Well, he should be.
I think our currently only PDX developer is Meneth.
What do you have to do that's more important than watching our podcast?
Well, I'm afraid in the meantime you'll have to wrangle with my poor reading comprehension then.
Yeah.
I gathered that you couldn't, but maybe you can. It gives you bonuses, you get division infantry attack, or armor attack.
Right.
Depending on who you assign. And you use political power and command points.
Right, which they said they're experimenting with whether they want to keep that in or not, that you also have to use command points for it.
I hope they do, because I'm sure I'm not the only person who sits at 100 command points.
Oh, yeah.
Half of the game.
Yeah.
Before going, oh shit, I should use the command points and then go and promote some generals.
Exactly. I remember that generals have a promotion tree about twice per campaign.
Same.
That's like... Mm-hmm. They also said this is going to be like one of the main ways you get army experience now. So they dialed it back for actual battle experience, but increased it overall because the tank designer is going to be eating a lot of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it's mainly for the tank designer and stuff. But also, I don't know how I feel too much about it because I think one of the interesting things with Hearts of Iron is when you get into a war, things rapidly change. You come into the war with shitty divisions.
Right.
Are garbage. And then quickly you have to, get your shit together like in World War II you did. They did, basically.
Yeah, I love picking up a new country that I have not played before and then just looking at their starting division templates, like, oh god.
That's how I'm feeling in Victoria right now. Like, I know the meta for it, but everyone's building cuirassiers and dragoons, and they suck. Get rid.
It's like, yeah, this division has like 2 infantry, 3 cavalry, and an apple cart. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
The worst is like with starting tank divisions to some nations. You go, oh, I've got a tank division, and then like maybe 20 minutes into the game before you go to war, you go, okay, I'll just edit a tank division. You open it up, it's like 8 cavalry, 1 tank.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
two radio department.
2 light tanks and a unit of winged hussars. Like
that's right. Yeah,
that's your armor division.
That's not armor at all. That's the illusion of armor.
Yeah, it's like they've got shields. We got remember shields? You guys remember those? Yeah. So, yeah, they're also
shields.
They're also moving. They're moving doctrines completely out of the tech tree, so they're just going to cost branch experience now, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
it's one more.
I mean, you could already get them basically like for free if you had enough branch experience and a tech boost for them. They took like 14 days or something, but
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you can only play for it pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's so much extra stuff competing for your tech slots now that I'm glad they're just splitting this off as.
Yeah, same.
We'll get to like 1948 and be like, yeah, I haven't even opened up the ship, like the ship modules yet.
I imagine it's going to be train technologies, that sort of thing too. Like,
yeah.
I would have thought.
Yeah. There needs to
because World War II is a very interesting time in train development.
There needs to be a whole doctrine tree.
Let's segue for half an hour.
They add a whole doctrine tree that's just focused on armored trains, on train warfare.
I'm sold.
Like reduce railway construction time in harsh environments, and then increase the support bonus for armored trains. Like that should just be a whole doctrine. Yeah.
Same.
Zeppelins and trains. You can go all in on Zeppelins and trains. Completely ahistorical. Steampunk doctrine tree.
I'm sold. I was playing some Hearts of Iron with like a friend the other day actually, and it was like mentioned it's going to be a lot of like railway producing. And, you can most of the game is going to develop. So I was playing as Brit and I went, shit, I could do Cape to Cairo. I was like, that's going to be my entire game now. I'm going to build Cape to Cairo. And I'm going to forget the wargaming aspect completely.
It already feels like too easy to march guys from like Egypt to South Africa as it is. So yeah, it makes sense if they made that harder and then incentivized you to build infrastructure.
Well, infrastructure starts getting rough when you start getting down to Sudan, right? I mean,
yeah, it still feels too like it feels too possible to me when it should really be functionally impossible to invade across the Congo Basin into British South Africa. Yeah, was there anything else that we missed here? I read through this really quick.
No, it was pretty short with I think it's pretty simple concepts. I mean, I think probably going to get most of it from the images, which we can't really convey very well on the podcast.
Oh, no more clones. That was the other thing. You're not going to have a national spirit that represents a person who is also separately a person in your government. They're folding all of those national spirits into actually being an advisor. You have to actually hire like normal, so you're not going to have a clone of somebody who is serving as a national spirit and then also separately as an advisor at the same time.
Yeah.
Which means a lot of mods are going to have to rework their their focus trees, but it's for the best in the long run. That didn't make much sense.
Mods are going to have their work cut out of them, especially with a lot of these changes. But it's going to be it happens every single expansion, and it's a good thing.
Right.
So none of your whining modders when you say, "Oh, I don't want to add trade." Like when they added different boats, so many people complaining. It's like, "Oh, I don't want to add boats to my Kaiser Reich." It's like tough. You added them, and they did, and it's much better. So
Yeah. So Also, it's nice that we'll be able to see all these modifiers on the branch screen, like all of the separate modifiers affecting your different branches.
Yeah.
Or your military will be visible if you have like a bonus to air spotting or whatever. You'll see all that pretty.
Yeah, it's very nice looking UI actually. Quite
Yeah.
impressed by it, and
Yeah.
color coded too, which I know bothers a lot of people, but things are
Oh,
not
I love
color-coded.
color coding.
Yeah, I think
Lots of
one of the most popular mods is like the color coded UI, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I always use the color coded notifications mod for Stellaris.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which is also getting some some new stuff. There we go. See, that's a smooth
That was the
segue.
smoothest one.
That was a
nice,
nice
Pointing out that it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, this was kind of one of those grab bag dev diaries. They're talking about adding more stuff to the species packs, like humanoids and plantoids, to make them play more differently. I'm not going crazy. We didn't talk about this last week, did we? I don't
think so,
I don't
no.
think we did. Okay.
I wasn't here last week, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah, last week was the one where they talked about having necroid hive minds. That's right. Yeah, plantoids and fungoids having a different fantasy of how they play versus other species is something they talked about. They're also adding more stuff to humanoids if you want to play like space dwarves or space orcs, which I think is what a lot of people do with the humanoid portraits.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so that'll be really cool. And then balance issues is also something they're going to be taking a look at. Research booming, I agree, is way too easy right now. Like, even if I'm not focusing science, I can just like floor it down the tech tree in the current version.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also reducing or rebalancing some stuff like Shattered Ring, where maybe the ring won't be as good at the start of the game, and you might have to put some more resources into fixing it up first. Yeah. And then Unity and Empire Sprawl is apparently something they're still not happy with. They say the design for admin capacity was never really something that they felt worked out. Never finished the design that was intended for it. And also continuing to use admin cap as a mechanic feels a bit dead end due to multiple reasons. So we're going to look into another solution. I'm very curious to see what that will look like.
Same.
Yeah. Because I do think the game is better with it, significantly better with it than it was without it. But if they have a better idea of how to punish wide play a little bit and encourage tall play, I'll looking at that. I don't have to make. I don't have to make as many bureaucratic super worlds just to manage my empire. That would be nice.
You just need one, realistically, right? I mean, I've always gotten just away with one.
Yeah.
Imagine the worst planet in the world. Like,
it's
like you go where it's filled
just
with
like
fucking civil servant losers. You know what I mean?
Freighters and freighters full of forms showing up every day and then being sent back out. Like, yeah.
You just go there and it's like, oh, you can't come to this world. You haven't signed it in triplicate.
Yeah.
Basically, it's going to be Lambert's YouTube experience for the planet. Basically, that's what's going to
on
very depressing and somewhat
scale.
catastrophic. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe by 2200 they won't have to send you a physical card in the mail to set up YouTube monetization. Maybe, we can hope. Yeah.
You know what? The funniest part of that is, and I know it's going on a mega tangent that not many people are going to understand. It took them 6 months to send a pin in the mail to my parents, who live in Ireland. Google has a headquarters about 50 miles away from where they live. They could have just dropped in and said hi. That it took them to send a piece of fucking mail.
No, because the bureaucrats on the bureaucrat world, they need to do everything a specific way, or they're gonna. Yeah. Oh,
It wasn't faster than light speed.
They also did give us a little bit of a hint that they said getting rid of admin cap entirely and doubling down on Unity as the resource for internal management might be something. So possibly even getting rid of culture worker as a job and kind of moving Unity as a resource onto the bureaucrats, possibly. So
I could see that working.
Yeah. Because culture worker never really made a lot of sense as a as a profession. Like, I'm gonna go to work in the culture building and just make some culture. We're gonna do
the culture mines.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what actually you're doing in there. It's just studying new interpretive dances.
Clearly, that's just art school. No.
Yeah.
They were all making just YouTube videos.
That's what it was. Culture workers. We're culture workers, all of us.
Oh my goodness.
On this
Imagine, oh my god, it's just two nightmare worlds. You got the Kafka-esque bureaucracy world, and you got the one full of hipsters.
And the culture and the culture worker planet can't do their job without a bunch of forms that they have to be given from the bureaucrat planet. Oh. Yeah, this is the real
we do our work. We just kind of paid for it.
A Necroid hive mind sounds like a better place to live, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Honestly, like a ravaging swarm sounds like a better place to live.
Well, before we get out of here, Lambert, what have you been up to lately other than fighting with bureaucracy? And where can people go to
fighting
support
with bureaucracy has been a pretty big part of it. I've been playing a lot of Vicky 2 lately, trying to learn the game before Vicky 3 comes out, and having a lot of fun with that. I tried the Humankind closed beta yesterday, and I'm actually going to be streaming it as soon as the podcast ends as well. And the Imperator Rome multiplayer that I've been taking part in is ended, so there's going to be a new one starting next week. But yeah, mostly Paradox stuff. Yeah, it's been a good time.
Cool. Rose, what have you been up to and where can people find you?
I've been streaming on Twitch. I've streamed some Humankind early this week with their open dev / closed beta, whatever they decided to call it this time. And I'll probably be doing some more of that and some more Going Medieval, which is highly addicting.
I just downloaded that.
Try that.
Yeah, I haven't put a lot of time into it yet, but it's medieval RimWorld. It seems pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's 3D medieval RimWorld.
Yeah,
RimWorld was best with the medieval mod anyway. So you know what?
Yeah.
As soon as this open dev is ended, I'm gonna jump on the Going Medieval train because it looks so good.
It does. Yeah, I want to put more time into it.
I think it needs a texture pack though.
That could,
because it looks good, but it doesn't look good.
I kind of like the look.
I can't play any of his games. Every time I play it, I go, I wish I was playing Dwarf Fortress.
I was gonna say, yeah, I've played Dwarf Fortress for many years, and that's just you literally uses ASCII characters to represent everything. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I don't know about you,
without a texture pack.
Yeah,
I can't be the only one who's like Dwarf Fortress is so good it's killed any enjoyment I could ever get from like RimWorld or any Dwarf Fortress adjacent games. Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
Kind of what happened to a lot of us with Paradox versus Civ games.
Civ, yeah, that's right. Although I still like Civ 4.
I think Dwarf Fortress is I don't think anyone has made a Dwarf Fortress style game that is better than Dwarf Fortress, but they have made ones that focus on different things and they can be interesting in what they decide to focus on.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they added a bunch of Dwarf Fortress stuff, they'd probably be even better. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If they made this game more like Dwarf Fortress, it'd be almost as good as Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, It's just like me saying every strategy game should be more like Crusader Kings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what have you been up to, Father Loris?
Drawing, building, and overheating, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been absurdly hot here.
So hot.
Actually, on the topic of Loris and his many DIY things, I'm actually getting some DIY doing here as well.
Nice.
Wow.
Big fat hole in my front garden going into the road. It's tore up the road and then into the patch of grass across the road because we're changing from oil-based heating to central heating. I think it's just,
Wow.
it's a Finnish translation thing. I don't know.
Oh, is that the heating system of it? It's like one big communal boiler, essentially. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're switching to that, and so yeah, my front garden's completely destroyed. Oh, and also I got a screw stuck in my tire today, so I need to replace it.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah,
grim.
that's
Oof.
not.
Man,
that's
most
not-
That's other
communal
things I've been
heating
doing.
systems are really cool, actually. I mean, like Helsinki's like almost entirely publicly heated, right? It's really
Yeah.
cool.
So,
It's very,
yeah, we're
very,
switching to
very
that.
efficient.
It's pretty expensive, not gonna lie. Patreon.com/LordLam_.
Well, you can always find me on Lore Sworn Order. I'm probably going to get back to my regular streaming schedule this week. I didn't think E3 week was going to be busy, and then it turned out that I was a fool.
Yeah, it's a new Advance Wars. Big shout out for new Advance Wars.
Oh yeah,
Come
they're
on.
remastering 1 and 2. We could do like
That's- That's a grand strategy, isn't it?
a whole bonus
kind of.
show on stuff that was announced at E3.
Well, only the strategy ones, which is just
Yeah.
Advance Wars. So we're going to dedicate
There was more.
3 hours to Advance Wars next week. 4 hours, maybe.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have not looked at a single thing from E3 yet.
I mean, it's anime Panzer General, but yeah.
Oh, it is,
Oh,
yeah.
there's
Well,
a
that's
game
all.
that looks cool in E3. Where did I save it? No, I didn't. Hold on.
I've heard people raging about this like time dilation
Oh, I should
style
change the scene. So we're not
shooter game, but I mean,
Nah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's it called? Something Effect. It's got a P in it. It did look pretty cool.
I know, yeah, I
P in it.
It's
Yeah,
got a P in it.
it was like Phobos or Phantos or
Yeah.
Oh god.
Fantasy Star Online.
Parabelos. I don't know.
Yeah.
Parabola.
There wasn't any
Something
other
like that.
strategy games, really, was there at E3?
There weren't a
I think
lot. I did a little roundup of them.
I think
you can
you're
find on
wrong.
PC
It's not
Gamer.
got a P in it because it's called Lemnis Gate.
Okay, yeah, that's
Lemnis
correct.
Gate,
That's
that's
correct.
it, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know where I was getting PH from, but
Forza with PH in it.
Yeah.
Oh god, the Italians would kill you if you tried to do that.
Forza, yeah.
Yeah.
You can always follow the podcast. We're NoCB Cast pretty much everywhere. I'm behind on SoundCloud. I will get caught up this week, I promise. And then, yeah, I need to get SoundCloud sorted out in order for Rose to do YouTube. So as soon as I get caught up, Rose can get caught up, and we should have everything squared away. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back same time next week with more grand strategy news. And we
Take
hope to
care.
see you
Ciao.
all then.
Toodles.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.